The very first rental property that I bought was about 15 years ago in the middle of the Great Recession. So it was like $180,000 for a duplex. My best friend and business partner and I found it together. We paid off the mortgage in like 13 years. And so now we own that property free and clear. Now I own over 30 properties and like 25 of them are paid off. Real estate is a great way to make money. They say on average 4% a year is kind of the historical average. One of the reasons I left my previous job is it didn't matter how hard I worked or how many great ideas I came up with, I was never going to make more than this ceiling they had put on me. Now you can make huge money on real estate, but usually that happens because you either invested huge money or you just got lucky with the timing of it. I help a lot of clients buy their first home as a townhome with the intention of someday their family's going to grow, they're going to outgrow that home, but rather than sell it, that's going to become their first rental property. One thing to keep in mind with that strategy is that while you're living in that home, be saving up for the next home because you're not using that home to sell and proceeds from that to buy your next home. One strategy would be on that first purchase, if you could find, say, a duplex, live in half of it, rent out the other half of it. If you do that, that section that you're renting out is going to probably pay for a good chunk of your mortgage payment. There are examples of people that have done that and the part that they're renting actually pays for the entire mortgage payment. So they're pretty much living there for free, and that helps them be able to save up what they would have been spending on a mortgage payment to go towards that next purchase. The nice thing about if you're living in it, when you buy it, if you're getting a mortgage, you're going to get lower rates and lower down payment. So you're having to come up with less cash, your payment's lower. Then when you go to move on to your next property, if you don't sell that one, you're still keeping that lower payment. Because if you're just strictly buying a property as an investment, you're not going to live there. Right. The interest rates are higher and the down payment requirements are higher.
So why? Is because they know it's not a primary residence, therefore it's more of a liability for them? Or
Exactly. There's more risk because let's say times get tough and you stop making payments on a property. Are you going to stop making payments on the property you live in? No, it's going to be the other house, the one that's the second home or the investment home.
You've been doing this for several years. And
22.
Okay, 22. Yeah, so 2 decades. My understanding is most real estate agents don't succeed, they fail, quote unquote. Why is it so difficult to be successful?
Everyone thinks that real estate is super easy because they went and bought a house and they were like, oh, well, that was easy. And look at all this money that agent got paid. I should do that. I literally have a handful of clients that I've helped buy a house and now have, or at some point had, a real estate license after I helped them. Acquiring clients and keeping them happy and getting their repeat business throughout time, it's not easy. It actually takes a lot of work and you have to stick with it. And so the people that jump in are usually the same type of people that don't stick with something. You have to be willing to go months without a paycheck, especially in the beginning. Every day is different. There's not always a right answer. There's not always a textbook that says, hey, if this happens, this is what you should do. Everything is so different, which is what I love about it. The barrier to entry is super easy. I just watched an Instagram video clip. It was like at a football game. There were the usher people standing on the field, almost touching hands, blocking the crowd so that they wouldn't rush the field. And everyone was just running right past them. And they're saying this is the equivalent to the barrier of entry to becoming a real estate license. It's just super easy. There's really no resistance. All you have to do is take 120 hours of education classes and pass a test. And when I say pass a test, you have to get 70%. Voila, you're a real estate agent. A lot of people get into it for the wrong reason. Grandma Kathy was going to sell her mansion and they wanted to be the agent. And so they do that one transaction. They realize that more deals don't just fall in their lap and they fizzle out.
I tried to be your everything, gave my everything.
There's a lot of ways to skin a cat. And what I mean by that is there's so many ways that you can do it and be successful. For example, there are some agents in this town that all they do is they call listings that have expired or canceled. They call, they have their script, and they try to pick up that business. They know that person wanted to sell their home and didn't, and so it's a fairly good lead. And so now they're just trying to sell on how they can get it done even though the last guy couldn't. There's a lot of agents in this town that they buy leads. They literally pay money and have that company give them leads from online. And then they follow up with those leads, try to convert them at the highest ratio they can to get money. The way I do it makes me happy and I enjoy it, but it's not the way to make the most money. There are some agents that have built a bigger business with teams and people underneath them that they manage, and they generate a lot more business and they make a lot more money than me.
I assume you're not buying leads.
Yeah, I've never bought a single lead. I don't know if that's necessarily something to brag about.
That's kind of, yeah.
I feel like it is. Yeah, I've never bought a single lead. So when I first started, I did a lot of door knocking, a lot of open houses to try to generate business that way, as opposed to buying the business. Although I could make a lot more money by building a team and teaching people to do what I have done and try to build that into a bigger business, I just really like the simplicity of just doing my own thing. So it's not the way to make the most money, but it does make me very happy. My rule when I was growing up was work first, then play. And that's just how I've lived my life. A lot of the things I do and believe in or say, like, I didn't learn them in a book or in a class. Like, I just observe people. I just watch what people do. I'll see someone successful or that I think I want to emulate, and I'll just see what they do, and sometimes I'll just try it out and see if it works for me. So a lot of my stuff is just the school of hard knocks, I guess, like just kind of observing. It's not like Dave Ramsey told me this and I did it. And I think part of that's personality type. I don't know if that's really like a learned thing, but definitely someone can work towards that goal of just knowing like, hey, I got to have a plan and work towards it.